Hello everyone, and welcome to TowerGate, day 42. It is April the 14th, 2017. Oh my. Judge Napolitano has now been vindicated. For those of you who have not heard, who have not had the radio or the TV, or have not been on the internet today, breaking story everywhere, on every major news site that you can go to. One of the top stories. GCHQ now admitting that they, as well as the Netherlands, Australia, Germany, Estonia, Poland, France, and New Zealand were all spying on Donald Trump. Yes, that's right. The story is now coming out, and this is the spin story. The spin is that the GCHQ, which is the British version of the NSA, it's essentially a brother of the NSA. They're connected. The GCHQ is connected to the NSA. They have access to the NSA database, and they share intel, as well as all the other countries I just mentioned. Now, the main drive of the story on most websites is that GCHQ is stating that back in 2015, they don't give the month, but they say, actually, no, correction, 2013. Back as far as 2013, individuals associated with the Trump campaign were picked up through incidental collection as they were having conversations with Russians. And after getting this information in 2015 was passed on to the intelligence agencies and also to Obama political operatives. Oh my. Lot of questions here. Oh man, there's a lot of questions here, but this whole thing just got really complicated. I don't even know where to begin because it's going to take some time to think through this and see where this all goes. Why would they come out today or in the last 24 hours and bring this up when in fact it was a point of issue a couple weeks ago when Napolitano was suspended for about a week or so for making the statement on Fox that he had 3 sources that told him that Obama had gone to the GCHQ to ask them to spy for him. This is very tricky because the question now becomes who went to who. The GCHQ is suggesting that they volunteered this information to American intelligence agencies, but Napolitano is saying that he had 3 sources that suggest that the Obama administration went to the GCHQ to ask them if they had any information or if they would conduct this eavesdropping. Now, here is a couple things to take note of. Number one, it is not, nor was it then, nor, well, now it's different. He is President of the United States, but as far as people around him, Manafort, Roger Stone, Carter Page, any of these people, it was not illegal for them to be talking or having conversations with Russians. Nothing illegal about talking to Russians. Nothing illegal. Now, if they get these transcripts and they see that there was espionage, selling state secrets, trying to overthrow the government, anything like that, anything of a criminal nature that was going on within those discussions, then they would actually have something to report. There would actually be some crime. But it is not a crime, nor was it a crime, for independent private businessmen who eventually later went to work for the Trump campaign would be having conversations with Russians. We know that Manafort and Carter had relations with Russian financiers. Russians have banks. They loan money to people around the world, just like banks in all countries. And Russian banks are, you are perfectly, if you as an American citizen want to go get a loan from a Russian bank, you can do that. If you want to travel to Russia and talk to Russians, you can do that. You can have any conversations you want with Russians or any other foreigner. There's nothing illegal about that. There's only a problem if you're engaging in some sort of espionage or some illegal activity. And whether or not you can tie this to Trump and Putin or people around Trump and Putin's people trying to rig the election, well, you're going to have to prove that. But this raises a lot of questions. This just made this, I don't know. Here's my initial thought right off the top of my head. Why the release now? Well, how about this? How about their first position was Trump's crazy, there was never any surveillance. Then once it was proved there was surveillance, they backed up and said, well, yeah, there was surveillance, but it was incidental collection. It wasn't political. There was unmasking, but it wasn't political. Now that these people are squirming because they know that on these FISA applications and on this spying, there has to be a reason that you do this. You just can't launch surveillance, especially on the your opponent in a political campaign. There has to be some probable cause, some reasonable suspicion, some reason to get these warrants. And it looks like to me that maybe the deep state, along with the who was behind Hillary Clinton, Obama, and their people and high-level sources are probably have been trying for the past couple weeks, since this has been slowly working itself to the surface and we are beginning to learn the truth, that they are scrambling around trying to find a way to cover their asses. And so what they may have done is gotten the GCHQ to come out and make this statement. Otherwise, they never would have made this statement. They were asked about it a couple weeks ago, and they denied that they were involved in anything like this. Now, all of a sudden, they're saying they were the instigators. They're the ones who discovered this, these conversations and contacted the American government, American intelligence. It looks like an ass-covering plan to me, because the Obama administration and Susan Rice and others who are involved in this know that they better come up with a really good reason why they were surveilling, and they have no good reason. So now they've found the reason, and it's to say that, well, we were alerted by the GCHQ. They're the ones who told us. So now they're trying to cover their butt with that reason, knowing good and well that the U.S. Congress, the House, the Senate committees who are investigating this cannot force anyone from GCHQ to come and testify. In other words, they can put it to bed. They can stonewall it. They can say our source of the we were tipped off by the GCHQ. They're the ones who told us there was this communication going on between Trump's team and Russian people, and therefore we started our investigation. Oh, but we can't actually call anyone from the GCHQ to appear before the House or Senate committee to come and tell us what caused them to contact the American intelligence agencies. What did they learn? Because if all they learned was that some of Trump's people were talking with Russian financiers about banking things, getting loans, or something like that, if there's no criminal activity, then there was no reason for the GCHQ to contact the American intelligence agencies. You know, there's no crimes being committed, no wrongdoing. So this thing has just gotten much, much more complicated, and there's going to be blowback here. There's absolutely going to be blowback. I can't imagine why the UK would release this information unless they're under some great pressure to do so, to try to save the deep state from being exposed, from engaging in a political operation using intelligence agencies, not just the U.S. intelligence agencies, but intelligence agencies from the UK, the Netherlands, Australia, France, Poland, Estonia, and New Zealand, and God knows who else. It appears that the entire world was spying on Trump and his people. And what did they learn? Well, apparently they learned nothing. They learned nothing, because if they did, that information would have come out. They would have prevented Trump from being able to, they wouldn't allow him to go ahead and take the oath of office, knowing that they're sitting on this information, that he was involved, or people around him was involved in illegal activities, which would be some sort of espionage or sedition or some sort of crime. Simply communicating with Russians is not a crime. There's a big, big problem here, people. There's a big, big problem, and this has opened up a bunch of new cans of worms. Not just one can of worms. Many, many different cans of worms have now just been opened and brought forth upon the table. Here's another question for you, GCHQ. We know that Bill Clinton gave a speech in Russia for about $500,000. We know that some of the people who he spoke to in that particular gathering were donators to the Clinton Foundation. We know that the Podesta brothers have at least a dozen, if not more, relations with Russian financiers, Russian businesses, Russian oligarchs. We know that other people around the Clintons also involved with deals with the Russians. How come the GCHQ did not contact President Obama or the American intelligence agencies and tell them that they had picked up communications between officials and people in the Clinton campaign who were communicating with Russians? They only picked up communications and incidental contact between Trump team and Russians, but they did not pick up any incidental communication between Clinton folks and Russians, despite the fact that we can go watch the video of Bill Clinton speaking at a Russian event where he was paid $500,000 and that money then flowed from various Russians, oligarchs, into the Clinton Foundation. These are some very interesting questions, and I expect in the next few days maybe we'll get some answers to these questions. A new can of worms have been opened up. It is now day 42, April 14th, 2017, a day that we will definitely be marking as a day when this particular issue took a very, very interesting turn. I'm going to continue to get more information on this. I'll be back tomorrow, and I'm sure we'll have a lot more to talk about. Y'all have a good day, and I'll see you back tomorrow. Bye.